Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are unpacking an explainer that takes a truly unique approach to a massive historical event. We're looking at the tragic and heavily debated assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. But, and here's the twist, we are looking at it through the forensic lens of Vedic astrology. We're literally going to see how this ancient system maps out a historic assassination. It is an incredibly structured, fascinating way to examine an event, and man, I cannot wait to break this all down for you.
Okay, but before we start pinning esoteric concepts to our cosmic caseboard, we need to ground ourselves in the timeline, right? The hard, physical facts. Robert F. Kennedy was born on November 20th, 1925 in Brookline, Massachusetts. Fast forward to the deeply intense political climate of 1968. The attack happens just after midnight on June 5th, right there at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, and tragically he passes away the very next day, June 6th. These exact dates and times are the precise data points our source material uses to build this entire astrological framework.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start with the assassination context, then look at karmic cycles or the dasha. From there, we'll examine the planetary transits, explore the houses of mystery, identify the stars of destruction, and finally reveal the final karmic archetype.
Section 1. The assassination context.
So, picture 1968. It's an election year, and the physical world is perfectly mirroring the esoteric one. RFK is right in the thick of a presidential campaign that's just defined by extreme political tension and massive ideological conflicts. And according to the source text, this intense, high-pressure political backdrop actually resonates immediately with the karmic pressure of two specific planetary archetypes, Saturn and Rahu. Basically, the whole system is under immense strain, and the astrology completely reflects that systemic pressure.
Section 2, Karmic Cycles, the Dasha. If you're wondering what a dasha is, well, in Vedic astrology, it's essentially a karmic cycle. Think of it as a highly specific, predetermined chapter of a person's destiny. The source material explains that during this exact period, RFK was experiencing what the text calls a break in fate. Basically, he was in a cycle defined by sacrifice and a literal collision with powers way, way bigger than himself.
And diving deeper into this chapter, classical astrological sources show RFK was in a period totally dominated by Saturn and Mars. Now, in this ancient system, these aren't just any planets. They are the two absolute most lethal planets for violent deaths, and their combined dominance, it creates a very specific signature. We're talking about a violent, sudden death in a public place orchestrated by an enemy. The overarching chapter of his life had basically shifted into this highly dangerous phase.
Section 3. The lethal planetary transits.
All right, let's lay out our cosmic forensic evidence. We're going to methodically map 3 key planets to their specific archetypal meanings. First up, we have Mars, known as Kuja, which is the trigger for violence, weapons, and blood. Next is Saturn, or Shani, representing inevitable destiny, institutional power, and heavy karmic events. And finally, there's Rahu, which is the ultimate indicator of conspiracies, hidden enemies, and manipulation. So these 3 celestial bodies, they are the primary suspects in our cosmic autopsy.
Now, historically speaking, we all know the official version of events. A single shooter, Sirhan, acting alone with his 8-shot revolver. But journalistic reconstructions have consistently highlighted some pretty serious investigative doubts, like the physical evidence of 13 bullet holes. What's fascinating is how the Vedic text neutrally uses the planet Rahu to represent these deep, lingering controversies and ballistics inconsistencies. The astrology maps perfectly to the mere existence of these massive, unresolved questions without actually taking a side.
Section 4. The houses of mystery.
Let's give you a crisp definition to work with. Moraka houses. In the Vedic system, these houses are the indicators of mortality. They essentially categorize threats. So the 7th house, that represents declared, out-in-the-open enemies. The 8th house governs death, severe trauma, and fatal wounds. And then there's the 12th house, and this is a really big one for the specific case, which represents closed places, ambushes, and a sudden loss of consciousness. It is wild how specific this categorizing actually gets.
So think about that 12th house, closed, chaotic spaces where ambushes occur. Where exactly did the attack on RFK happen? Right in the closed, chaotic kitchen corridor of the Ambassador Hotel. On top of that, critical analyses of the event always point out that the fatal shot came from behind the ear. That is a classic ambush dynamic, and it completely aligns with the shadowy, hidden nature of that 12th house, especially when you combine it with the aggressive, sudden force of Mars.
Section 5. The Stars of Destruction. The source text really hones in on two specific stars or lunar mansions that were active during the assassination, Ardra and Mula. Now, Ardra is governed by Rahu, our planet of conspiracies, and it brings sudden violence, chaos, and blood. Mula, on the other hand, is governed by Ketu, which brings about an uprooting, a sudden karmic end, and a fatal blow. The text explicitly notes that these two specific nakshatras are almost always present in the violent deaths of major political figures. They are literally the absolute archetypes of destruction.
Section 6. The final karmic archetype.
To really complete this archetype, the source points to a super fascinating modern parallel. RFK's own son, RFK Jr., after spending years studying the documents and testimonies, publicly stated his belief that there actually was a second shooter and that Sirhan wasn't the real killer. Now, whether you agree with that or not, just notice how this lingering belief in hidden enemies and complex manipulation aligns flawlessly with the astrological presence of Rahu that we mapped out earlier.
So let's synthesize this whole cosmic signature, put the pieces of the puzzle together. We have Mars providing the weapon and the head wound. We've got Saturn representing the crushing weight of institutional political power. We have Rahu introducing all the controversies, manipulations, and hidden enemies. And the whole thing unfolds right in the 12th house, an ambush in a closed, chaotic space. You see, Vedic astrology doesn't identify a single material assassin with a name and a face. Rather, it brilliantly illustrates the signature of a political death executed by a highly complex system.
We've seen how this ancient framework structures the sheer chaos of June 5, 1968 into a very clear, albeit incredibly tragic karmic archetype. Which leaves me with a final, provocative thought for you to ponder today. If these planetary alignments truly reflect the intense pressures and actions of our complex earthly systems, what other great historical mysteries might carry this exact same cosmic signature? Keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next one.